How's it going, everyone? So in this video I want to go over the 4K 120 eARC issues with Sony HDMI 2.1 TVs. And Technodad had a video recently about the Xbox Series X and trying to get eARC to work at 4K 120. And just like last year with the Xbox, if it's at 4K 120 Hz, you can't get Dolby Vision or DTS without dropouts. And if you go into Atmos or DTS:X, then it drops out like every second. But if you use PCM, then it's fine. So what I wanted to do here was check on PC. So let's get my focus to work, and hopefully you can see that. Let me try turning this down. So 4K 120 HDR 10-bit, and NVIDIA same thing, 4K 120. And then down here, where's the mouse? You can see speaker setup is for Dolby Atmos for home theater. Now the only thing I have on here right now that I can do this with is the Dolby app demo material. So this is playing. Turn up the volume. And if we come down here, you should be able to see, it says Atmos. It is using the compressed Dolby Digital Plus instead of True HD, but I think that's because it's just streaming this. But you can see all the speakers are lit up. And with the Xbox, you can't even get compressed. You literally get no Dolby or DTS at all. You only get PCM. So we can see at 4K 120, Dolby is working on the PC. Let me hit the display button. See 4K, and if I go into the settings, you can see HDR is enabled. So it appears to be working perfectly fine with PC. So now let me switch over to the Xbox and show it there. Alright, now on the Xbox with Bitstream, we have these options. So let's start with Atmos. You can see 4K 120. Go into the game, and now come down to the receiver. You see how the speakers keep dropping off and coming back? And you should be able to hear in the background the sound keeps cutting out. Now, go back into the settings. Set it to regular Dolby. Come back down here. Right now it's playing, and right there's a dropout. So with regular Dolby, it still drops out. It's just much slower. And there's another dropout. So now if we set it to 60 Hz, and we can even put this back to Atmos, doesn't matter, or DTS. Alright, apologies for the camera movement and shakiness, whatever. Was no real way to put it on a tripod and go back and forth from the TV and the computer. And what we're about to see right here is that it's still not going to work because the game needs to be closed out of and restarted when going back to 60 Hz. So it's weird that it just continues to do that even at 60 unless you close out and restart the game. Once you close out of the game and restart it, then it works. I could have saved some time and cut this part out, but I figure leave it so you can just see it all done in one take with no cuts. I'm just showing that it's still, Atmos is on and it's still set to 4K 60, and when we go back into the game, then it works. See, it's not dropping the audio. Now again, with the Xbox and the LG TVs, it doesn't drop at 4K 120 at all. So there is something going on with the Sony TVs and communicating the audio at 4K 120 with the Xbox, and it seems like it's only the Xbox, because as I just showed on PC, it appears to be fine. And so if we change this back to 120, yep, and then just change this to 5.1 uncompressed. If you use 7.1, I have a 5.1.2 Atmos setup, and when using the 7.1, it doesn't send the channels correctly. So like my center ends up being the back left somehow, or the side left. So I'm using 5.1 uncompressed. And the allow pass-through option doesn't affect this at all. It's still, whether that's checked or not, doesn't matter. So now it says PCM. Alright, so where it says Dolby Surround, that's the receiver using its own processing. So if I hit straight on the receiver, then it puts it in straight PCM. So now if I want the receiver to decode Dolby, it can through the receiver side. So if you have a Sony HDMI 2.1 TV and an Xbox Series X, and you're going to play at 120 Hz, you're going to have to use PCM. And then if you want your receiver to decode it or do anything with the audio at that point, that's up to you. But just showing, for some reason, the Xbox and the Sony TVs do not communicate the bit streaming Dolby or DTS when at 120 Hz for some reason. Who's at fault? I don't know. I think they probably need to work together on that issue. I expected the PC to do the same thing, and it just be that the TV had an issue, but the PC didn't have that problem. So I guess it's not that. So it shouldn't be anything bandwidth related or anything like that. It's probably just some handshaking issue that they need to work together on. But hopefully there'll be enough attention brought to this that they will fix it with a firmware update. So, you know, don't be afraid to tweet out to Sony or contact support or whatever, and hopefully they'll get enough, you know, people bugging them about it that maybe they'll do something for it. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks TechnoDad, you know, for looking into this as well, and have a good one, everyone.